In August of 2005, quiet rest area off Highway 7 in Ontario became the center of a mystery that would last nearly 20 years. The location was a picnic area situated between Guelph and Rockwood. It was the kind of place travelers passed through without a second thought, an in-between space, not a destination. But that summer, human remains were discovered there, and investigators quickly determined they belonged to a woman. Based on forensic examination, she was estimated to be between 25 and 45 years old at the time of her death. There were notable findings during the examination. The woman had previously sustained significant facial injuries, a broken left cheekbone, fractured nose, and damage to the left eye socket. All of those injuries had healed long before her death, suggesting they occurred well in advance of the events that brought her to that rest stop. The circumstances surrounding her death were considered suspicious. However, despite careful analysis, authorities were unable to determine an exact cause of death. Her body had been placed beneath a Woods brand sleeping bag. She wore no jewelry, there was no purse, no wallet, no identification. Nothing that would immediately connect her to a name, a city, or a family searching for answers. Investigators believed her clothing may have been purchased in the Montreal area. That detail added a geographic thread to the case. But it did not solve the central question. Who was she? For years, forensic artists created composite renderings of how she might have looked during her life. Those images were released publicly, shared in hopes that someone, anyone, would recognize her face. Despite those efforts, the woman remained unidentified. She became known simply as a Jane Doe found near Rockwood. While Ontario authorities continued searching for her name, in British Columbia, another story was unfolding. Tammy Eileen Penner had been reported missing to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police on February 7, 2005. Before her disappearance, she had lived in Chilliwack and Abbotsford. In the months that followed, her absence created unanswered questions for those who knew her. But as years passed without resolution, the file remained open, one more missing persons case waiting for movement. For nearly 2 decades, these two cases existed separately: a missing woman in British Columbia and an unidentified woman in Ontario. Then, in 2023, the investigation took a decisive turn. The Ontario Provincial Police, working alongside the Toronto Police Service, submitted forensic evidence from the 2005 discovery for advanced DNA testing. The evidence was sent to Othram, a specialized laboratory in Texas that focuses on complex forensic samples. Scientists there used higher-resolution genome sequencing techniques to construct a detailed DNA profile from the remains. Once that profile was completed, it was returned to law enforcement so that a forensic genetic genealogy search could be conducted. The Toronto Police Service's genetic genealogy team used the data to identify potential relatives. That process generated new leads that had never been available in 2005. Investigators conducted follow-up inquiries, contacted possible family members, and ultimately obtained a reference DNA sample for confirmation. The unidentified woman found under a sleeping bag near Rockwood in August 2005 was officially identified as Tammy Eileen Penner. After nearly 20 years, she had her name back. But identification, while powerful, does not answer every question. Authorities have stated that the circumstances surrounding Tammy Penner's death remain suspicious, and her exact cause of death has still not been determined. What investigators now seek is context, information that can explain how a woman who once lived in Chilliwack and Abbotsford came to be found at a rest area between Guelph and Rockwood. The geographic distance alone raises critical questions. How did she travel across provinces? Who may have been in contact with her during that time? What occurred in the months between her being reported missing in February 2005 and her remains being discovered in late August of that same year? Those answers may still exist in memory. Investigators are asking anyone with information about Tammy Eileen Penner, her movements, her associates, or events in early to mid-2005 to come forward. Anyone with relevant information is encouraged to contact the Ontario Provincial Police at 1-888-310-1122 or to provide tips anonymously through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Nearly 2 decades passed before science reunited this case with a name. Now the remaining chapter depends not on technology, but on people. Someone may remember a conversation, a trip, a ride offered. sudden departure. Detail that once seemed insignificant. Tammy Eileen Penner is no longer an unidentified woman at a roadside rest area. She is known, and the search for the full truth of what happened to her continues.
This is Case Files of the Missing, where the search for answers does not end with time. For more intriguing missing person and cold case stories, please like, comment, and subscribe.